Hello there guys, and welcome back to Age of Wonders 3. We're going to be continuing right from where we left off on the last video. We do have a little tiny bit of movement left with this unit here. We can't really go anywhere though because we are in... we only have very little movement left on our swordsmen and the archers, so we're going to stay here. There's another unit there we'd like to take out. Now these are dwarves. They do have a tier 3 Firstborn, which is quite a nasty unit, which we don't really want to have to tangle with if we can avoid it. We can also see the borders down here of another city, which is probably going to be an independent city. But there are plenty more directions we can explore in, and we should. If we actually look at the size of the map, we actually zoom right out. You can see the map is an amazing effect here when we zoom out. The map is actually quite large. So there is a fair bit, and this is a medium-sized map, so there is a fair bit to discover. So we're going to end the turn here and see what happens. This army requires our orders. Now we have to think about where we want to go. Let's pop onto the bridge. We shouldn't get attacked by these guys. Have we found these guys yet? Are we close enough? There we go. We have met the village of Rogan-Dur. And we have options. We can either ask them, well, we can say prepare to be destroyed, which would give us 100 points towards being evil. Or we can say let us open our borders to each other's armies, which would cost me 60 gold. Now, I could do that, but what it's sometimes better to do is wait, because occasionally they will give you a quest. And if they give you a quest, they generally open their borders anyway. So I'm going to leave them alone for the time being. I'm going to move this unit back up here. We're going to head along this path and see what we can find. There isn't an awful lot really to do on this turn. I guess I could move this unit out along the road and just see what's up here. We do have to be careful, of course. Like I said, we don't want to leave our city unattended if we can. But there is a refugee camp here, which would actually increase the size of our city. So if we can go and get that, we really should do that, which we will. So we'll end that turn. We've now researched Druidry, rank 1, which is nice. We're going to take this very, very small army and move on to this refugee camp. And we have gained 919 people, which hasn't really increased our borders yet, but it obviously will count towards that. There's another cartographer's tent up there, which we could actually get, so let's do so. Now we can see a bit more of the map. We can see another little fort over here. That's a watchtower. That'd be very useful if we can nab that, because it would give us a much better vision around the map. There's probably units guarding it, and indeed there is. Quite a basic unit actually, but I'm not going to take it on with this army. That would be a little bit stupid. Now, of course, this leader is a rogue, and the rogue actually has its own unit, its own spells and abilities. So if we were actually in a battle with this unit, we'd actually be able to use her abilities as well. So select research. We could just go straight into Druidry 2, which would be quite nice. Look at this, favoured enemy giant, 16 turns to cast, but Empire upgrade. Ranged troops specialise in hunting giants. Archer and support units receive Giant Slayer. Units with Giant Slayer deal additional +3 melee damage against giants. Researching this Empire upgrade disables the option to research the other favoured enemy Empire upgrades. So I think this is one that's actually very specific to the Archdruid, although there are equivalents for the other leaders. And basically you can pick a particular unit type and just have extra damage against them. So what else are we going to pick? Revive Instinct. All enemy mounts become feral mounts for 2 turns. Units with feral mounts suffer a -12 movement penalty. Or one with the elements. Strategic spell World Enchantment. By calling on the wonders of the wild, the caster strengthens their empire's connection with nature. All of the caster's units gain -50% terrain and climate penalties and +50% terrain and climate bonuses. So basically it just means that we can go through terrain that we don't like and we don't really get a negative penalty for it. I think what we're going to go for straight away though is Druidry 2, just so we can have a little bit more spell casting during the battles. I'm going to have a quick look along this road and see what we can find. Oh, we found some dire penguins. I've also got these haste berries, which I can't quite reach on this turn. If you run over haste berries, it will actually give you it'll restore all of your units' movement, but we can't do that on this turn. So we have these dire penguins. And they're all dire penguins. They're tier 1. They're fairly weak. They do a little bit of frost damage. They do have lifesteal, which is really, really strange. Penguins with lifesteal. Restores 2 to 4 health every time the unit performs a melee attack against an enemy unit. Obviously, they can swim. They've got Arctic walking, which means that they don't get the penalty for moving over the Arctic terrain. Dedicated to evil. And they're an animal, and they have forestry, and 100% frost protection. Of course, as you would expect, it is a penguin. We can move forwards. We can't really do anything else. There's a watchtower there, again, another one that I'd like to grab. And that is that dragon's domain, which we'll have to be very, very careful with. So we're going to end turn. Now, like a lot of 4X games, a lot of the initial turns are just hitting a lot of buttons and not doing an awful lot else in between. I heard something. I'm not sure what it was that I heard. I'm starting to get a little bit panicky about my capital, so I'm going to bring these guys back to defend. Now, he's not actually in the capital at the moment, but he is next to it, so that's... or she, sorry, is still next to it, so that counts. We've produced our shrine, but we do have a list of stuff queued, so I'm not going to bother doing anything with that. So let's go straight on and attack these dire penguins, because we can. Very likely... very likely victory, but we are going to still go into manual combat. I've seen a lot of people doing Let's Plays of this game, and they just skip all the combat or do it automatically. What's the point? So as you can see, this is a very, very interesting sort of battle arena. We have this strange statue here, and you'll see this icon up here in the top left-hand corner. Now, this is always the defender. Whenever a unit is defending a particular object on the map, the defender always gets the bonuses from whatever is on that hex. So, Hailstorm. Gigantic hailstones fall from the sky, causing massive destruction wherever they land. Each combat round, Hailstorm deals 20 melee damage and 5 frost damage to all units in a 2 hex radius around the target random hex. So basically, every turn, a giant hailstone will fall from the sky and it'll do massive AoE damage to anyone caught near it. That is what that is basically saying. So now we're actually up to 30 casting points. It actually allows us to cast the Hornet Swarm because it requires 25 casting points. We have 30. Let's do that anyway. Now, most of these spells don't have a range limit. If I cast it on these guys, it would just hit them. If I cast it on these guys, it would jump to both of them. So I'm going to cast it on these guys at the front. They're going to get hit by a swarm of hornets, and it hits the guys at the back. So already, both of these guys have taken massive damage, which is really nice. Not going to move my unicorns in right now. I'm going to put them on guard. What I'd like to do is try and use my archers to do some damage to them if possible. Now, unfortunately, my archers are a little bit out of range. I'm going to have to move them closer, which now means they're only going to get 2 shots because I used an action point moving them into the yellow hex. Didn't quite take those units out. I'm going to move these guys up here to guard and protect my bowmen. You can change the direction, of course. As I said, you automatically guard the 3 units in front of you, which is including this one here. But I want to be guarding these 3. So if I right-click and hold down the mouse button on my unit and then drag in the direction I want them to face, they will actually turn and face that direction, and it doesn't actually cost a movement point to turn and face. Not a lot of people know about that, and it's a good thing to know. So I'm going to get those guys to guard as well. I'm going to do a very similar thing with these guys. I'm just going to move them up and get them to guard, so if the penguins try and come past, we can block them. Got some more archers. I don't think these guys are going to get far enough forward to be able to hit anything. They might actually, if they move over here, get 1 shot at these penguins that are on full health. Of course, we don't know where the hailstone is going to come down. It could actually come down in their ranks and do them a lot of damage. At the same time, it could be me. I don't even know where that came down. It must have been over here, miles behind us. Of course, the penguins have lifesteal. They get instantly killed, though, because they didn't have enough health to survive the initial barrage. My archers have taken a little bit of damage here, which is annoying. I can no longer shoot at them because I'm engaged. Now, which basically means I've either got to attack with the archers, which will be melee because they can't shoot and will take a lot of damage, or I attack with one of my other units. So let's deal with what we've got over here first. These guys should be very easy to take out, so let us do that. There we go. And we get a rank up. So you'll notice up here, if we select our longbowman, you've got these various different tiers. You start off as nothing, and then you become a trooper, a veteran, an expert, and eventually elite. And as you gain experience and you level up, you get better defense, you get better strength, you get more hit points, and you'll also get things like, if I get to elite, I get projectile resistance. If our Union Guard gets to elite, they get armor piercing, and if our Unicorns get to elite, they get inflict bleeding wounds. So you do get various different bonuses and perks. So I can't do an awful lot with these longbowmen because they will take a lot of damage. What I can do, which is one of the reasons why I love unicorns, I could run around to the back here if I wanted, but for the purposes of demonstration, I can click phase, and then I can actually teleport to the hex behind the penguins. And then I can attack the penguins from behind, which is a flanking hit, which means that I don't get retaliation. Because remember, they didn't guard at the end of the last turn, they attacked. So they couldn't guard, I got up behind them, hit them once, and that flanked them. Did a massive amount of damage, and they didn't retaliate. Now, if I could attack them again, fortunately I couldn't, because I used my teleport, and that's used all my movement. If I attack them a second time, they would now be able to retaliate, because they're actually facing the right direction, it's not flanking. However, the good thing is, my archers are no longer engaged, because they're not facing me, so I can just shoot them back. And that's how you deal with dire penguins. From time to time when you win one of these battles, you actually get the units. I can't really use dire penguins because they are aligned to evil, but we didn't get anything there for doing that. Now obviously we do have some damage to us, but that will heal over time. We've got Arctic Concealment, so it means we're actually invisible while we are stood here. So we could go and take this. This has got some Draconian units in. They're actually quite weak. I thought sure that they were dwarfs earlier. First thing we're going to do is run here into the Haste Berries. That gives us all of our movement back. And then we're going to go up here on the road. And we're strongly going to consider taking this. We have a Draconian Charger. And we have some Draconian Crushers. Now, they actually dislike Arctic. They prefer the Barrens. So they're probably going to have low morale because they are in the wrong type of terrain for them. Now, we're still limited to casting points because we used our casting points in the last battle, which means we are unable to really cast any spells this turn. But I'm quite confident that our army is beefy enough to take them out. There's also a dungeon here as well. Dungeons can be very, very difficult. We'll have to have a look at that when we're a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. Big pile of gold I've just noticed at the back behind this watchtower as well. I always love this game how the map, the tactical combat map, very accurately represents what you see on the strategic map. It's one of my favourite parts of the aesthetic of this game. The game does look brilliant. So the Draconians, as you might expect, are these very sort of half-breed, humanoid, dragon, lizard-type creatures. Most of their units, as a race, have fire protection and frost weakness. And a lot of their units that do elemental damage actually do fire damage. As always, I prefer to lead with my archers because they are certainly some of the best units in the game. I'm going to try and do as much damage to these guys as possible. Now, these guys do have projectile resistance, which is a bit of a pain, but I'm going to do as much damage to them as possible. So we managed to do, 23 damage there, so it wasn't too bad. I could just go and attack. They have 17 health. So that means I won't kill them off and I would take damage. So I'm just going to move these guys up and just turn them to face. And put them on guard. These archers are miles back, which is a bit of a shame because they're not going to get close enough to be able to do anything. If I move forward 1 hex, can you have a punt? Yeah, let's have a shot at the chargers. Didn't do as much as I would have hoped. Let us move you guys forward and protect our unicorns. And we'll keep you facing that way, actually. So we've got Arctic Walking and Arctic Concealment. I'm not 100% sure where that is coming from, actually. Let's put you on guard. I don't think it's coming from my heroes. Oh, it is. Arctic Walking and Arctic Concealment. That must be because we took out that that shrine, that last building that we took where the dire penguins were. It's given us that Arctic Walking and Arctic Concealment bonus. Can't cast a spell. Could fire 3 times with my bow, so let us do that. Now, most of the leaders are quite tanky, even if they are sort of non-melee types like sorcerers, they can still take a fair few hits. So there are many times when you can just send your leader riding in and do a lot of damage. Is it worth me trying to charge in with my unicorns? Probably not the wisest of things to do. What I could do... No, I can't flank them because they're guarding, so there's no point me teleporting in with my unicorns. I'll just keep them on guard for now. We'll end the turn and we'll see what they do. I certainly don't think they've got enough to be able to do me a lot of harm. They would, yeah, as I say, they go straight for the archers. It does tend to be what they do. In fact, they've actually killed my archers, which is a real pain in the neck. Because the archers are, like I said, by far some of the best units. So let's deal with what we can deal with. We're going to shoot you guys. I know you have projectile resistance, but we need to get rid of you. Because you're annoying. So, they're gone. You guys have your back to us, so you might retaliate if we don't kill you. Which... Oh, no, we did. We managed to kill them. Which just leaves you guys. Now, if I try and move to here, I will take a hit. You can see that. You can just about see the little red triangle under these guys. Because I've been moving out of one of these 3 forward-facing hexes. There are ways around this. So what I can do, if I'm clever about this, is I can move my hero over here, fire at them from this direction, which will instantly get them to turn and face my hero, which now means that these guys are safe to attack from behind. So we're going to move here, and we're going to attack. They may still be able to retaliate, but no, they died. So I lost 1 unit, which is a little bit of a shame. And it was my promoted unit as well, which is, again, really upsetting. But I can live with that. We didn't get anything for clearing the watchtower, but as you can see, we now have a massive line of sight here. We've got a few other things we could clear. This is what the early game pretty much starts with, is clearing out a lot of these independents because it gives you access to a lot of cool things. We have a legendary dungeon here, and exploring this would probably give us some sort of loot or treasure, but it's going to be very, very difficult to do. We have some very, very basic humans here guarding a farm, which would give us more population. We have a gold mine here, and over here, just slightly out of view, we can't really see what that is. We also have another watchtower here, which we'll probably take at some point, because again, it's being guarded by some Dronians. And over here, we have a big pile of gold, which we'll probably go and take. So let me run on to that and take it anyway, because yay, gold. And what do we have over here? This is a ancient ruins, so this would give us some nice stuff if we could take it. It would mean trespassing into the dragon's territory, though, which is probably not a good idea. So one thing that I am going to do is I'm going to want to replace my longbowman. So we're going to take my hero. Hero is going to go and sit in the city. Longbowman will move when possible. Now, our hero leveled up, which means we get 5 upgrade points. And these upgrade points can be spent on a number of different things. We can give ourselves some extra strength, extra hit points, free movement. Unit is not hindered by any terrain movement penalties, which is not all that great if you're obviously in an army, because the rest of the group still is. Befriend Animal is a really nice ability. Take control of a target enemy animal unit. Very, very useful on the early stages of the game when you are dealing with the independents, because we've already seen spiders and boars and dire penguins, which all count as animals. So that's one of the advantages of being an Archdruid. We could also give ourselves some shock protection, but I don't think we really need it. Cure Disease is nice, which dispels any blight debuffs on friendly target units. Could be useful because we have been going up against some spiders. But I think what we're going to do, we're going to take the additional 5 hit points on our hero. And then I took it again, because you can actually stack them up. So I double-clicked it for 1 point, double-clicked it again for 2 points, so we've got an extra 10 hit points now on our leader. More stuff does unlock as you upgrade as well. We're going to go back to our city now, and we are going to add a longbowman to the queue to replace the one we lost. We are going to build up a second army anyway. A new day dawns, and the city has grown. It's now encompassing this farm over here, but we're still not really in a position to take out that cockatrice. We're going to take this guy, move him as much as we can. He's following the road, of course, so he's got fairly decent movement. An army requires our orders, and as expected, the village of Rogandor has a quest available. So, tell me more about this quest. End the terror at the mine. Our gold miners have unearthed a horror from the depths. The mine is shut, our finances are ruined. Help us regain our mine and we will reward you. So I've got 10 turns to complete this quest. It is classed as being very easy. For the reward, I will get 35 gold, and I will also get a dwarf prospector. I'm always going to accept, because it's well worth doing it. It does mean that I have to go through their lands, which is fine. You are going to move as close to this guy as you can get. Unfortunately, I can't move on to the haste berries, because the haste berries aren't there anymore. But we'll form up and we'll move down here and we will go and complete that quest for them, which you can tell where it is by this little gold chalice that is hovering over the map. You're just going to camp there in the city for now. You are on guard duty, and let us end the turn. So we've produced our shooting grounds. An army requires orders. I'm going to leave you there because you've got less movement. We're going to move you on top, pick up the entire stack, and then we are going to move down, and you can now see that the borders for this place have turned green. So if they're grey, they're neutral. If they're green, they're friendly, they're allied and open. We can move through them. And if they're red, they're at war. So we are safe to move through their grounds and go and help with the mine. Instantly end the turn, because there's nothing else that I can do there. So we should be able to get to this in one turn. Domain invasion. We have seen some units. Now, they've moved through our domain, apparently. Oh, they're in our domain. They're actually here. They could attack, which would be bad. I don't think they will. I don't think they will attack our city. If they do, we're in trouble. But we're going to deal with one problem at a time. And we are going to go and clear this mine. So what have we got here? We have some tier 1 dread baby spiders, some tier 1 kobolds. Should be fairly easy to deal with. A lot of blight protection on the kobolds, blight protection on the spiders, but I think we should be able to deal with them. So we are going to move into there and attack. Very likely victory, of course, as we would expect. Now they're defending again, so of course they will get to move first. Now the only ability that I have really at the moment that is useful is my Hornet Swarm, and it's a little bit of a shame because of course they are immune to... well, they're not immune to, but they have very, very little damage from Blight. What I'm going to do is I am going to cast my Seeker Enchantment and put that on my longbows. And now these guys don't suffer... I mean, obviously they still have a range limit. But if I try and shoot something that is out of line of sight... Now, like these guys here. If I was to normally try and make that shot, I would get a line of sight penalty, because this is in the way. But because they have the Seeker Enchantment, I no longer get that line of sight penalty. So we're going to take the triple shot. Might even be enough to finish them off. Not quite. I can see these guys coming forward and attacking my archers, so I'm going to put these guys up here to defend them. Now, unfortunately, I can't give the same enchantment to my other archers on this combat turn, sadly. But we can take another shot and finish those guys off. We can move these guys forward to defend against those spiders if they come any further forward. And we can also move our unicorns up and defend those hexes there. Let's end the turn and see what they do. There's nothing particularly special on this hex, so we don't have to worry about giant hailstones or anything else. So, the spiders tried to web our unicorns and failed. And these guys are moving forward. Okay, this shouldn't be too difficult to deal with. So, we're going to fire at these guys 3 times with our archers. Might even be enough to kill them. It is, and we get a rank up, which now means that these guys can safely move in and attack these spiders from behind. one attack flanking, so we don't actually take any damage from them. I'm going to get my leader to once again cast a combat spell. We're going to put the Seeker Enchantment on these archers again. Now, I could either try and fire at these guys, which are well out of range, or we could just try and kill off these spiders. I think we'll kill off these spiders. That was easily done. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our unicorns. Now, they are a bit limited. They've used... they don't have enough action points to teleport because we actually did get webbed. Now, even if you resist the web, you still lose half of your movement points, which is a real pain. These guys could go and attack, but they'll probably take more damage than anything else, so I'm just going to sit them still. Let those kobolds move forward, because it's the only unit they've got left. And they're just going to get slaughtered by these guys here. As you can see, they took a lot more damage than I did. We're just going to take the archers and finish them off. There we go. Nicely done. So that's the quest complete. And of course, we get a couple of unit upgrades. And because the quest is complete, we get ourselves some gold. And we also get ourselves a Dwarven Prospector, who we can see right here. So we actually have ourselves an extra little unit. These guys are friendly with us. Now, what we could do is we could still speak to them and say, I think it's time for you to join my empire. Funnily enough, now it's actually costing us more... Oh, no, so sorry. The previous term one was for opening borders. The borders are now open, and it'd be 280 gold for them to join my empire. Now, that's quite a bit of money, but at the same time, there's a possibility I might be losing my city up there. So what I am actually going to do is I'm going to pay them. And that moves me a little bit more towards a good alignment, because I've bought a city, and this city is now mine. I am going to tell these guys to move back, because we need to go and protect our borders. And I'm going to take this Dwarven Prospector, which is just a very basic Dwarven unit, and put it in this city here. So let's just end the turn, see what happens. Are these guys going to attack? No, good, they have moved out away from the city. I was hoping they would, because it would have been really nasty had they decided to attack my city. So do I carry... I think I should go and hunt them down, actually. So I'm going to take my main army. And I'm going to start to move back towards my city. We'll find out where they are, and we'll deal with them. We have now completed Druidry 2. Obviously, we now get the option for Druidry rank 3. A few more different spells and abilities we have. Hunter's Finesse. Archers are trained to aim for living creatures' vital organs. They receive the Inflict Bleeding Wound ability. Well, that'd be quite nice. And that is an Empire upgrade, so all of my archers would have that. So that would be very, very useful for... the elves. Fertile Domain. Sleeping land is awakened, causing nature's bounties to flourish. Boosts the growth of the target city owned by the caster by 200. That could be quite useful. Or Suffocate, of course. Combat spell. Suffocates the unit by creating a temporary vacuum around them. Deals 15 melee damage to the target enemy unit. Undead machine and incorporeal creatures are immune, which is fine. I think I'm going to go for Hunter's Finesse, because I do like using my my archers, and I think that would be really good. We now get to select a production here, of course, and we can build the Dwarven units, because this is a Dwarven city. But we are definitely going to queue up a few things. We definitely want to get ourselves a storehouse to help it grow. And we would like to... You can also pick things like Generate Mana, Merchandise, which generates gold, and Build Housing, which generates population. So you can always do that if you haven't got enough money to spend on anything else. What I am going to queue up is... I don't like the crossbowmen, because the crossbows can only fire once, unlike the... archers that can fire 3 times. But the Forge Priests are very, very nice. I'm definitely going to get a Priest on the go. And we are then going to get the Shooting Grounds and the War Hall. You're just going to stay here and just guard this city. And that's the end of that turn. So I will leave it there. And on the next video, we'll try and track down those independents, see where they've run off to. Probably up here, whatever that is. Can't quite tell. And we'll go and clear that out and get ourselves some more goodies. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying the show, and I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye for now.